Heyo! Are you feeling stuck, purposeless, frustrated, depressed, just flat out daunted and disillusioned by the chaos that is the world we are living in right now? Chances are you are giving your power away. Or hell, maybe you're feeling so shitty that you can't even fathom having powers in the first place. In any case, I'm here to tell you that that's all a load of bull. We're all a bunch of OP as fuck bosses that are just brimming with unlimited power and potential. Did you ever take the time to think that maybe, just maybe, we're not quite high leveled enough to recognize our boss status yet? And that is where the disconnect lies. So it's like this. In video games, your character almost always starts out as like a level 1 basic character. And perhaps if you're playing on, say, Nightmare mode, like I am in Dragon Age Inquisition right now, the beginning of the game is gonna be, well, a nightmare, right? You'll probably have your ass handed to you a lot, but eventually, through trial and error, you're gonna get through it and it's gonna get a bit easier. Have you ever played a game on a high difficulty level before? It's hard, right? But usually, the majority of the difficulty comes right at the beginning of the game when you're just getting a feel for how it plays and your character's still like the most basic character you could have with the most basic skills and bare bones like equipment and the like. But once you get a feel for the battle system and you level up a bit and you learn some of the more powerful skills and get some of the more powerful weapons and armor, it more or less levels out, right? And you wonder what you're ever worried about in the first place. Well, life's pretty much the same way. I think the disconnect lies in that most of us just never take the time to get a feel for the battle system, aka the workings of the world, the way the world works, and how life actually works, and how reality works. And honestly, we don't even really take the time to level up, for that matter. We all, like, maybe we'll keep leveling up when we're kids and stuff, and then kind of like after college, you just even out and you get a little satisfied and just kind of keep going and staying along that same path. Life can be hard, so we just get so daunted and we take so many beatdowns that we kind of just give up. We rage quit, essentially. We rage quit, and we forget that we even can level up, that we hold the potential for some seriously powerful skills just inside if we'd only take the time to reach a level where we could actually unlock said skills. Now, I could have just stopped Nightmare mode in Dragon Age Inquisition after my party got slaughtered by those stupid, weak, little, like, green spirit enemy things. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. They're so annoying, and yet they are so powerful somehow at the beginning of the game. I could have just stopped after my poor party had been slaughtered for the umpteenth time by these stupid little spirits. But I kept going because I knew the game. I had played it 2 other times, and so I know all the awesome skills my character and her party members were going to learn. So I knew it would get better if I could just steal through the tough times and just keep leveling them up. And I knew they'd be bosses in no time. And sure enough, they were. In fact, for those of you who know Inquisition, there's a point in the game where you leave Haven, you're starting like home base, and you go to Skyhold. Well, the boss at Haven is like infamous. It's so freaking hard, and it gave me a nightmare, really, on hard mode and even on normal mode. I had a bit of a time with those bosses at Haven. However, I actually like bossed on through this time in nightmare mode because I guess I'm just so familiar with the game at this point. I'm so familiar with the characters and the battle system. I hadn't even like gotten my Knight Enchanter specialization yet, and I still just like bossed on through that section. So, yeah, that's how life is pretty much. We are capable of so much more than we even know. All we have to do is take the time to know ourselves and know this like game of life just a little better. That's it. You may wonder about the rest of the world and how just focusing on doing you, how that could actually have an effect on the rest of the world, or how, I mean, if you just keep leveling up, is it going to matter if the rest of the world sucks and is full of like all these really difficult challenges that we have to overcome? I mean, the world we live in right now, it's in chaos. It's kind of like a video game, like a dark fantasy video game or something. It's full of natural disasters and outdated systems and corrupt politicians. The works, really. So what could we possibly do by just focusing on leveling ourselves up? Well, let me tell you. This brings us to a non-video game reference, but a very nerdy reference that most people will probably get nonetheless. Game of Thrones. I honestly had a very deep, insightful, like philosophical revelation while I was watching Game of Thrones one day. And it was like, I think it was during one of the awful Joffrey scenes. And I feel like even if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, you've heard about Joffrey and how horrible he is, like how horrible the character he is or was. And yeah, he's just a horrible king, a horrible person, horrible character. And he just sucked balls. And honestly, like all the rulers in Game of Thrones, like all the leaders of Westeros kind of suck balls in their own way. Like they just, maybe not all of them were quite as out there as Joffrey, but they've all been pretty horrible. And I was just thinking, like, as all this horrible stuff was happening to all these characters, like, around Joffrey and stuff, I was like, how is this being allowed? Like, why are these people just taking this? I was like, he's just a child. He's a kid. And somehow, like, someone decided he's gonna be the king and he gets to say, like, what happens and stuff and decides all these things. Why? Like, who allowed this? He's surrounded by all these adults and all these people who, like, outnumber him. He's just one person. And yet, like, everyone's just allowing him to get away with all this bullshit? What the fuck? Like, if just, like, one person was just like, no. And another person was just like, no. And another. If they all just said no, then he wouldn't have any power at all. He'd just be like a little kid sitting on a throne and he wouldn't have any power. And so I guess the same is true in history, like with that whole monarch system. Like blood basically determines who is going to be a ruler, and it's not based on merit at all. And yet everyone just went along with it, even when the kings were crazy, even when they were sadistic, even when they were children that did not know what they were doing. They're just like, yeah, we just went with it because that's how it's always been. No one thought to just say, you know what? No. No, man. No. So, I guess it's the same with life. We just kind of go through life without questioning the system or anything, and no one really just says, you know what, this is fucked up, I'm not gonna be a part of this, I'm not gonna do this. And it's not about being like an activist or protesting and stuff, because honestly I feel like that stuff, it just perpetuates the problem. In like the Game of Thrones world and stuff, if people start protesting, it gets violent and ugly and stuff. What I'm talking about, it's not that. It's just focusing on you and being like, I don't have to deal with this. Like, I'm better than this. I know I'm more powerful than this. I'm not going to give my power away to these, like, douchebag kings that don't know what they're fucking talking about. I'm just gonna walk away. And that's what we have to do with life. We just gotta level ourselves up, and eventually we're just gonna be such bosses, like all this other stuff, even like natural disasters and stuff that we have no control over. It's just not gonna be a problem because our happiness lies with us. It doesn't lie in outside sources. And by giving those outside sources, such as the politicians and the natural disasters, our power, then we are like powerless, and we end up depressed and angry and frustrated, and it just perpetuates this cycle. So, as Daenerys says, you gotta break that wheel, gotta break that cycle. And you can do that by leveling up, by knowing your avatar, by owning your power. So my question for you is this: are you willing to just say no? Are you willing to break the wheel? Are you willing to put your foot down and own your powers and take a level in badass? If so, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And if not, I mean, that's cool too. Just take your time. Everyone's adventure is their own to live out the way that they choose. But if you are down to say no, if you're down to level up and to align with your main plot line, as I like to say, I would love to help. My coaching services are live as of the publication of this video. So I can definitely help you with that. If that is something that resonates with you, I recommend going to the link that will be in the description. That should take you right on over to my coaching page. There's going to be quite a few different options. There's like, I wanted to give people variety of like time and money constraints, because I know people have limited time and money and stuff, and some people have more time and more money than others. So there are just a bunch of different options, ranging from a half-hour session all the way to like a 3-month-ish, like once per week, hour-long session deal. So yeah, you should just go check those out if that resonates. See which one might work for you. The prices I'm offering right now, they are the cheapest they will ever be. I honestly went to, like, I looked around, I shopped around, looked at like what other people were charging and stuff, and deliberately put my prices a little bit lower as I take the time to like refine my system and my practice and stuff. So basically, if you want to sign up for like the cheapest you possibly can, sign up with me right now. It'll be awesome. You can be like my beta tester. In any case, what I'm calling the system is Own Your Powers, Pwn Your Demons. We'll be going into owning your powers, and we'll be using your various natal charts to look at what your strengths and stuff are. And I'll just be assisting you in identifying and capitalizing on your own strengths. And then the Pwn Your Demons part comes in, because usually when you do this self-work stuff, first, before it gets better, usually it goes to shit, because that's your demons rearing their ugly heads. You have to beat those bosses before you can advance to the next stage, essentially. So the Pwn Your Demons part is where I will help you in identifying what your weaknesses are, what your demons are, what's holding you back, and then I'll give you the tools necessary and help assist you in discovering the tools that you already have to be able to lay the beat down to those fuckers, okay? Essentially, that's what my coaching program is. And like, if that's interesting to you, I would love to hear from you. Like, I'm more than looking forward to it. And if that does not resonate with you, but you're still kind of curious about all this meta, like, video game analogy stuff, or again, just like life in Japan or other things, you can always send me a question via email, and I will try to answer you in a video or blog post. So yeah, there's just lots of options all around for taking levels in badass. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with people. I'm super psyched to be launching this coaching practice. And yeah, I can't wait to get started. So let's go forth and boss this bitch of a game, all right? All right. See you next time. Bye.